Hot diggity dog, you guys, welcome back to the Invested Dog. And today we are going to be talking about the world's only DWave quantum computing stock. And if you want to talk directly about the stock, market cap, and whatnot, go directly to that 8-minute mark. For everybody else, let's talk about why the stock is performing the way that it is and have a little bit of history with this stock. So with DWave, they are all over the headlines. A lot of people, as of May of 2026, just 9 days ago, we just started May recently, a lot of people are saying that to buy the stock. Let's dive into why that's the case. DWave Quantum acquisition of quantum circuit boosts in market position, emphasizing on commercialization and federal and cyber security. Why is that the case? Let's talk about some what Tech Eye is saying about this stock. Now, Tech Eye is saying that quantum, this stock DWave, is entering a compressed May to June catalytic stretch. Q1's resulting for on May 12th. That's just in a few days. That's in 3 days. They're expecting it to have a boost of $22.57 and an $8 billion plus market value. That is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The numbers don't lie. We will get into the market cap and we will get into what it closed off at previously on May the 8th when the stock market closed down. So the stock has massive gains over the past 5 years, but the company is still reported significant losses in 2025 with revenue depending on large hardware deals. And why is that? That is having a significant amount of volatility. The stock is known for its high volatility. Some ratings, such as Zacks Investment Research, have previously indicated that the stock might be overvalued with low momentum, creating a hold. They're telling people to hold. They're telling people to wait. There's 3 scenarios for quantum, for DWave, after the proof window. They think that it's a bear. It could be a base, meaning it could be stagnant, or it could be bull. So with bull, revenue conservations plus the Q1 shows stronger revenue backlog conservations. Investors should buy because they think that it is going to be bull. Now, bear, they think that weak conversions, lose guidance over unclear QCI integration would put pressure on the stock, trading far ahead of the current fundamentals. Now, some people think that it's going to be stagnant. What will the base look like? Booking remains unhealthy, but revenue is still lumpy, leaving the stock supported by catalysts, but vulnerable to evaluation assets. QBTS stock, which is DWave stock, has become one of the cleanest tests of question investors keep asking across the quantum trade. When does a story stock stop being valued on possibility and start being judged by its proof? As I say, you should always be looking at the numbers. You should always look at the market cap, always look at the revenue versus earnings, always look at the numbers. Numbers never, ever, ever lie. Just as a side note, you guys, unless you've been living under a rock, have you guys heard that Spirit Airlines is no longer operating? That is sad to see. That is sad to hear. But that is the reality of airlines. They operate at such a low margin. I made a few videos already about the closing of Spirit and what does that mean for every other airline stock when it comes to investing, especially when we are in a recession. We need to protect our money. We need to grow our money. A recession is a time for us to transfer money into our pockets. So anyways, back to this. The test is now compressed into a very short calendar. DWave Quantum will report first quarter 2026 results on May 12th. That's just in a few days. Today is May 9th. So all we have to do is wait 3 days before the U.S. market opens, with management scheduled to discuss results and the outlook at 8 a.m. on May 12th, according to the company's official earnings announcements. That is why the next move in QBTS DWave is not just an earnings trade. It is a proof into whether or not this stock can survive or cannot survive a recession. And the story nobody should reduce to one's earnings print. Most DWave quantum coverage is still framed around the stock's rally, analysis targets, or the broad quantum computing basket. And that's not necessarily wrong. However, DWave is about to ask investors to evaluate it based off of these three things. They want to know whether the revenue is starting to catch up to its bookings. They want to know whether the advantage is turning into a commercial product rather than a technical showcase. And they want to know if Quantum Circuits deals with the DWave computing platform is credible for further growth. So that's pretty big. Those are pretty big announcements. The first piece arrives with the Q1 results. DWave has said that when they go into 2026, they're going to be more than $32.8 billion within the first quarter. That's from February 22nd, February 25th, after $20 million systems purchased by the Florida Atlantic University. Shout out to Florida. Shout out to Florida. I'm in Florida right now. I'm in Orlando, Florida. And a $10 million 2-year enterprise with other companies, other Fortune 100 companies. And they have some pretty big goals that they're going into for 2026. And what the market is already pricing this DWave stock. There is a bull case for DWave, and it is not a fantasy. I don't know about that. It's kind of looking a little fantasy to me. We'll see once we go over into the stock and we take a look at what the numbers are actually saying. The company has a real product in the market, a visible customer base, a balance sheet that gives it time. And DWave ended 2025 with almost $885 million in cash, marketable securities, according to its year-end results. Stock Analysis separately lists net cash to be about $841 million. Or $2.27 per share, against the total debt of almost $44 million. That's some money. So I do want to just have one more article that I want to get into. Just give me 30 more seconds. DWave Quantum is a part of the top 3 stocks that investors are saying to buy. Why is this the case? DWave business is lumpy. What do they mean by that? They're kind of saying that DWave is volatile. DWave specializes in selling quantum computing. Quantum computing is a growing sector, but I think that it has a wave. It has a way to make itself into the market. Let's just go directly over into the stock. And it closed off at on May 8th, and it was closing at $22.59. So it did close pretty much on par, almost a 3% return. And within 5 days, if you would have invested on May 5th, you would have already had a 10% increase. Yes, the 6 month is down a little bit, but you have to look at the long-term aspect. You have to look at the 1 year, 5 year. Nothing is going to happen overnight. 1 year, it is up 116%, and in 5 years it's up 127%. That is the reason why there's so many articles out there. That is the reason why there's so many investors saying this could be a buy. Who knows? I do not like to take any risks when it comes to investing. I like to have steady cash flow. I like to know where my money is going, especially during times like this when we are in a recession and you need to make the best educated decision in order to transfer that wealth into your pocket. So revenue versus earnings, they've been losing pretty consistently ever since 2022. That is probably why investors are saying, hey, wait a minute, hold off on buying this stock. Let's just wait a little bit. Let's just see where the stock is going. In 2022, the earnings, they lost almost $53 million. However, their revenue was $7 million. And they've been pretty consistent throughout the years of 2023, 2024, and 2025. Their earnings has continually dipped down. But at least in 2025, their revenue was able to come up to almost $25 million. Now, their earnings per share, they've missed quite a bit. In Q1 of 2025, okay, they beat it. But Q2, Q3, Q4, they've undervalued themselves significantly. They were not able to hit their earnings per share. That is, again, like I said, I understand why investors are saying to hold off on this stock. I suspect that they are not going to hit their earnings per share for Q1 2026 once they put it out there. Now, let's look at what the actual investors are saying. Analysis recommendations, a lot are saying to buy. A decent amount are saying to hold, and a decent amount are saying it's a strong buy. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit, even though it's undervalued according to the average price of what it should be, I think that we should just wait and see where the stock goes. I think we should wait and see how well it performs within this next year. Put this stock on your watch list. The market cap is $7.75 billion. Enterprise value, almost $7 billion. Your profit margins, not there. Why? Look at that. The earnings versus revenue is no bueno. It's not good at all. Your return on assets, you're losing over 11%. And your return on equity, you're losing almost 78%. That is not good. But we'll see. This is definitely on my watch list. Let me know if you guys are putting it on your watch list and what you all think. And this is the Invested Dog signing off.